Hello, welcome back to another edition of Road Talk with Kate. Today in my life is May the 9th, 2025. Where this episode starts is on April 26th, 2025. This day to most is just another day on the calendar. For me, it marks the 9th anniversary of the death of my beloved mother. Per usual, I wanted to start this episode with a story. Flying way back to the dark side of my mind, we are reverting to 2011. That summer, my family went on a deep woods canoeing trip into the Savannah Wilderness in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. After canoeing 7 miles into the woods to find our campsite, we spent the next few days camping, fishing, and canoeing around the collection of backwoods lakes, removing ourselves from all modern amenities. After a few days, my bowels started to back up, and I found myself unable to shit in the woods. So my family packed up, and we canoed 5 miles in one direction, to the closest semblance of what one could call a modern toilet. There I found myself unable to shit out even a pebble. After straining to no resolve, we had to then canoe back to our campsite. On the return trip, we were portaging the canoes from one lake to another. For those of you uncultured in the ways of backwoods living, portaging means throwing the canoe over your head and carrying it from one lake to the other over land. While portaging the canoe, my mother rolled her ankle on the trail between the two lakes. A few days later, after returning to modern civilization, my mother's ankle was bad enough that she wanted to go see a doctor about it. She also had recently noticed a lump on her chest. No, not her breast, you sick pervs. It was a small, hard lump that didn't used to be there. So she thought she would ask the doctor about that as well. That lump turned out to be a cancerous lymph node. A few days later, me and my brothers were each pulled into our parents' room, one by one. I remember this moment in my life as clearly as it was yesterday. I at the time didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but there was a very serious tone surrounding the matter at hand. After Hale's turn came mine. The news that was presented to me was that my mother was diagnosed with kidney cancer and will soon be going under the knife to remove one of her kidneys. Now for me at 10 years old, that was a lot of information to take in and process. The only question I remember asking is if she was going to die, which unfortunately came true almost 5 years later. She may not have died the day the news was broken to me, but my childhood did. Not totally. I still lived a pretty normal life for the next couple of years, but my innocence of how the world worked would never return to me. What a fun little story on how my inability to have a bowel movement has directly affected the trajectory of the rest of my entire life. Moving back to present day, on the morning of April 26, 2025, 9 years to the day of her death, I woke up early to head out west, for the destination of Knoxville, Tennessee, to meet up with my father for a country music festival. On my journey, I stopped at the mountain ridge before entering Hot Springs, North Carolina. The reason for my stop was to do a 2-mile hike along the Appalachian Trail. While on that hike, I came across an old mountaintop cemetery. In total, I counted 10 headstones, but only one that had a name on the gravestone. The grave of Lucinda C., the wife of J.W. Daniel. She was born on October 6, 1861, which is only a few days after my mother's birthday. She passed away at the age of 38, passing away on September 13th of the year 1900, which is a life not too much shorter than my own mother's. When I originally picked out where I was going to hike, I didn't know that I would find that cemetery. I thought of it, though, as an omen from God. Sometimes things are supposed to happen for reasons that are unexplainable. A divine intervention of sorts, letting you know He's got you, without ever hearing His voice. I hope Lucinda didn't mind, but I used her gravestone as a placeholder for my own mother's that lies some 800-odd miles away. I said a prayer for her and Grandpa Eddie, her dad, who passed away in July of last year. I asked them to say hi to God for me, and to celebrate such a hard day for many of us still stuck on this spinning rock. An unexpected blessing added to my day. After finishing my hike, I got back in the car to finish my drive to the far side of Knoxville, where I would meet my father, my godmother, and the rest of their crew to attend a country music festival that afternoon. The country music festival in question was the Rock the Country Music Festival, headlined by Kid Rock himself. On our drive, way out in the Tennessee hills, we found ourselves surrounded by nothing besides forest and farm communities. Not too much different from where I grew up. besides the fact that the ground was not even close to flat. We parked our car to then walk a mile and a half to the gate. Due to heavy rains and foot traffic from the day before, half of the walk was through sloppy mud with a layer of gravel that sunk underneath from the grounds crew trying to make it at least somewhat usable. We arrived at the gate some 30-odd minutes before open, where we camped out in the mud waiting to enter the concert venue, which was nothing more than a stage and a brown patch of dirt, where they pushed all the mud from yesterday's mess to the lower side of the fenced-in area. After finding a decently firm piece of ground to plant our chairs on, we enjoyed the music for the following hours, some of us more than others to say the least. The artists I enjoyed seeing that day were Gavin Adcock, Mark Chestnut, Little Texas, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and last but not least, Afro Man. Don't ask me how the hell Afro Man got into that lineup, but he did. And let me tell you something, that man has got life figured out. He showed up for a 15-minute set, sang 2 songs, told some jokes that nobody laughed at, then got off stage. What a life. Like, that is literally his life. He shows up and sings Because I Got High and Colt 45 and 2 Zigzags, collects a check, and goes home. Now to me, that is what dreams are made of. Beyond that, the music was okay. The rest of the venue was such a disaster, it was impossible to say that everyone had a good time. Anywhere besides where the chairs were, there was a 6-inch deep slop of muck to trudge through, which for the elders in the crowd I entered with, the mud completely ruined their experience at the festival. For me, I tried to make the most of my experience. I have mentioned this book before, but in the 1917 campaign of Passchendaele, they would have dreamed of these conditions. Those boys in the trenches spent 6 months not seeing a single day with as nice as weather as we had on that day. For those 6 months spent in the trenches, they didn't once see the color green. Until at the end of the campaign, in November, when they crested the Passchendaele Ridge to see what lay beyond the German trenches and why the Germans were defending it. Those boys spent every second clinging to those puddles of mud, because in war, every inch matters. They fought forward for every inch of clay, crawling behind creeping barrages, which pinned the German forces inside their makeshift shelters, allowing the Brits to be on top of their enemy and have them surrounded with minimal small-range warfare. Sadly for them, war isn't that simple. The consistently poor weather conditions, paired with under-par communication systems, led to many errors in the plan of attack, as well as the fact that they had an enemy just a few hundred yards away that was countering every measure they made and attacking on their own right. That is a pretty short and summarized book report, but I use it to say that I have no right to complain about the conditions that were presented to me. I enjoyed my overall experience at the concert. I believe the fact that I recently read that book helped me to enjoy the moment for what it was. So, what do the memories of me learning of my mother's cancer diagnosis, the 9th anniversary of her death, and a campaign from a war that happened 100 years ago have in common? The gift of perspective. I don't remember a lot from my childhood. There's a lot that I look back on, and it's black holes and blank spaces. That specific memory of my childhood is in no way a good one, but it is one of the only clear memories I have of my mother. I would rather be blessed with a bad memory than no memory of her at all. My mother died at the age of 42 years old. I am currently 24 years old. My last day could be tomorrow, but I will never know until that day happens. I think growing up, watching her die at a young age, really put into perspective that I need to make the most with my life and do everything I can with every opportunity I'm given. Because there's such a drastic importance on living life to the fullest, because it's so short and out of your control. The stories of war that I get to vicariously live through allow me to be thankful for the times I get to live in. Those boys clung to that mud because their lives depended on it. For me, I got to stand barefoot and make a memory with my old man. The conditions may not have been ideal for a majority of the folks in attendance, but I thought it fit just right to make a memory. As I continue to compound experiences moving forward, I hope I never lose the perspective that I've been gifted. I hope that it makes me a more well-rounded person, as well as allows me to stay thankful for every moment that I have on this earth. Every day goes quicker than the last, which my mother found out the hard way. The importance of every moment goes unnoticed far too often in the modern age. For all of us in life, there are only so many moments that we get to carry with us for the rest of our days. I feel very blessed and fortunate to have had one of those experiences this past week, a moment that I will look back on fondly for the rest of my days. With all that randomness being said, thank you for listening. I love you. Bye.